Welcome to each one of you for the session on entrepreneurship and reading. Sambrambagatum Vayaniyum. We have a very good detailed introduction regarding the both of the speakers, but still I'll just touch upon both of them. We have two eminent personalities, successful entrepreneurs who have proved their mettle. And a quick run-up, SR, as it was mentioned, he's the founder of Mentor Guru, a serial entrepreneur in the IT domain, but much more than that, one of the first technology entrepreneurs in the state with 35 years of experience in IT. He is one of the founders of TIE Kerala along with Mr. Balagopal, who is also here in the dais. They both started TIE, which is a global organization which fosters entrepreneurship, with a chapter in Kerala. In fact, he is the second president of TIE, succeeding Mr. Balagopal. He's a very popular anchor and a very panel moderator. In fact, I am today sitting in his seat, but I don't know how much justice I will be able to do. A high person revered in the management circles, who has been the president of KMA and ISTD. And over to Rahul. Rahul is a serial entrepreneur. Rahul is a serial entrepreneur and the co-founder of HEAL. He is involved into the pharmaceutical business with over 14 years of experience in both handling retail as well as wholesale formats, associated with many leading multinational companies and large Indian companies in the pharma sector. HEAL Enterprises is his newest addition to the business, and which is focused on marketing and of HEAL brand of products. He is a master's in business administration from IIM Ahmedabad, and also an angel investor with over a team of over 300 professionals. So let us start with a common question to both of you, to which everybody in the audience would require an answer. How do you make a better tomorrow by reading so as to look up the future? I think, Esa, you go first.
As optimistic entrepreneurs, whether reading or not, we always believe that the tomorrow is always better. If we don't believe that tomorrow is not better, things are not going to be fine. Now, as far as reading and thinking for a better tomorrow, is it English, Malayalam, English, Manglish? Both. Does the audience want English, Malayalam? English? Okay. Fine. See, the only area where you can let your imagination go wild is when you think. Okay, now, when you see a movie, when you see a picture, when you see an animated figure, everything is predefined. Everything is predefined. So you go by those role models. But when you read, like, if I say Ravana, if Balasan say Ravana, my Ravana will be completely different from the Ravana that Balasan would have imagined. So that imagination, that creativity, and that nudanatum, that innovation, actually helps in entrepreneurship. So fundamentally today, we talk about a lot of innovation and disruptive innovation. And those innovation to happen, that newness to come in, that is something not followed by somebody else, and that is imagination. And when you read, your imagination go wild. When you see a picture, you can't imagine much. You stay close to the figures. When you see an animated thing, we stay close to the figures. But when you read, I am given the freedom to think the way I want to think. Okay? And that is where innovation comes. That is where creativity comes. That is where differentiation happens. And therefore, whether it is tomorrow or today, entrepreneurs always think of or imagine a better future. You always think of a better thing that can be done for the society. You always think of a good product that can be brought to facilitate you better. So in that thinking, if this imagination, if this creativity come in, that can only happen from reading. Rest of it is all what you're seeing, and what you're seeing is predefined. Thank you very much.
Well taken. Good start. Rahul, your take on that?
Yeah. So for me, I've been a reader since a small kid. Thankfully, my parents introduced me to reading as a very small kid. So been reading a lot of fiction, still college, but recently been reading a lot of management books and related to business and a lot of things that you learn. And typically I have friends, like SR sir said, is that, I give them 1 or 2 page synopsis and they think they've read the whole book by reading those 2 pages. but it really is not true, because when you read, you imagine too much, you think a lot, you absorb it. So you can read a book in 10 hours, 6 hours, or you could get the synopsis in 2 minutes. But I don't think the synopsis does justice to the book in general. But there are some books where you might know to skip up parts because they're being repetitive for the sake of it. But in general, I feel imagination goes high, and you read books on, for me, for example, if you're a science student, a PhD entrepreneur, a PhD author might be inspiring for you. For me, maybe it's Richard Branson, or it's somebody, because I'm an entrepreneur, somebody who's doing well, better than me, is somebody who's inspiring to me. So I think books make you think, inspires you, and motivates you to do better. So it's been great for me in terms of learning, and I'm trying to get my kids to also read, but it's not that easy, and I'm, too much of interactive digital gadgets are available. And I'm old school, I like reading physical books. My wife reads on the Kindle, but each it's its own, and I unfortunately don't read enough fiction these days. Should probably get back to it. Yeah.
Well taken. So what management and leadership lessons did you learn through reading, and how did you apply in your entrepreneurship journey in the changing management narrative of this country as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think I did my MBA when I was 20 years old. So I did it as a rookie, like a green kid. I had no knowledge. So there's a lot of book knowledge you get as an MBA student. But what's happened is there are many books. Just for example, there are books like Scaling Up. There are many books like that which is relevant to our business. And we're able to read, understand what is relevant for us because we have some practical experience now, and try and implement those things there, right? And even competitive strategy, basic frameworks, all these basic books have helped us in terms of understanding and trying to, and there is a book called Why We Buy, which is a great book for a consumer brand as to why consumers and psychology, like I am in consumer retail in some sense. So psychology is a big thing. Consumer psychology, how do we build a brand? Why do consumers buy a particular brand? Where do you place it on a supermarket shelf? These are things that are already been solved by a lot of psychologists or people who are in retail and who study this. So it's easier to learn and then apply and fail rather than just fail on a blind this thing. So helps us bring down the number of trials we need to do. Many of them not work necessarily for various reasons, but it helps us solve for problems which are easier with, relatively lesser universe rather than a larger universe. So that's my take.
So Esa, you might have had some tough lessons. You might have learned tough lessons through reading in your journey till now. Can you just share a few thoughts which still remains uppermost in your mind, which you wish to share with us in this audience? I
beg to differ. You don't go through tough lessons by reading. You go through tough lessons by experiencing, actually. So that is different from reading. In reading, you get to know that if there's a theory, if there is a methodology, is a way by which things are taken care of. That is okay. But toughness is something that you face. Okay, let's say, as an entrepreneur, several days in the morning, I have thought that, oh God, let the sun not come up today because my check will come to the bank and the check will bounce. So I don't want the day to open. I don't want the sun to come up. Okay, that is a toughness. That is a toughness that you face. But when you read, you can manage your reading. As Rahul was telling, you can do in 2 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 hours, etc. But I just wanted to touch upon a little on this. Life is all about continuous learning. You learn by experiencing, you learn by reading, you learn by seeing, you learn by absorbing. Okay. In reading, it gives you much of, as I have told earlier, much of imagination, wilderness that is reading allows you that. But this continuous learning, one exercise I'll tell you, I was moderating a session with Mr. Dholakia. Mr. Dholakia is the richest diamond baron in the country. He wrote a book called Diamonds Are Forever. I think he may be coming here also because I saw his photograph in the brochures. Diamonds are forever, so are morals. Okay, that is what his book was. And I was moderating, he was releasing his book in Crown Plaza, Kochi, and I was moderating it. And I went through it, my goodness, a lot of cases there was deja vu, and a lot of cases fresh learning. And one instance in that I'll tell you, he said, at the age of 16, he is a class dropout, 6th standard. He can't read Hindi, he can't write and read and speak English. He only knows Gujarati, and that too, their village Gujarati. He left his native place in Saurashtra, came to Surat to be a diamond cutter. He was taught 1.5 years, you must learn. So he said during that time, there was some satsang going on. There was some katha sessions going on. He went to attend a katha session, and he said that, and that guru told him, you see, particularly entrepreneurs, very anxious people, they get flustered very fast. There's a lot of emotion going through in entrepreneurship. So this guru told him, "Look, never speak ill of others, never speak ill to others." And this person at the age of 16, and I'm interviewing him at the age of 76. So please understand, I'm interviewing him after 60 years. He said, for the last 60 years, I have never used an expletive in my life. I have never called a guy by the first term called tu. I always used, he says, this is my bhanja here. That is my nephew here. I call him up. It is 16-year-old boy who had just come from his school. I said, I call him. So you give it, you take it back. Fantastic lesson. As an entrepreneur, I was thinking, my goodness, why didn't I hear him earlier? So these experiences are good, but otherwise, toughness you go through experiencing, not by reading. Thank you.
So Rahul, how has it taken your habitual ways of thinking and working in your entrepreneurship journey, or has something of that transformed your business into the new realities?
Yeah. So I think there are people who read and read and read, and there are people who do and don't read. So I think I've been lucky. First 20 has been primarily reading, but recently it's kind of hybrid. So it's helped in that way. And secondly is, for example, in our business, we might meet different people for different things. And it is very important not just to read books, maybe read their annual reports or stuff like that and go in well prepared. And if you're getting into a new segment, I try and buy 10, 20 books. So I am a person who would go on Amazon and buy maybe 100 books, 150 books a year and read only 50 of them, and the next year do the same. So I'll have a lot of unread books. So my office is about 1,000 books and it looks very impressive. But I think learning about that subject enough to talk to somebody in that particular field is very important. And that's been useful by going in and buying the right books. And thankfully, I'll go select that for you these days. And second, I think is we are able to use all kind of free times, because as businesses, we have to keep traveling all the time. When you're in business, you travel a lot. And thankfully, on a flight, you're kind of silent. I mean, yes, on international, you get internet, but you try not to. So you can read a lot. So I end up reading a lot at airports, during flights, during train journeys. And that's a great way to keep yourself occupied. And it's been great in terms of learning, and also in terms of, it's just a break from, otherwise if you're engaged on the phone, which is something that I do, it's almost like, hyperactive on the phone. So I think these kind of reading sessions help you to think and also break away from your regular stuff.
So which books have influenced you probably the most, so as to test new ways in business, so as to reorient yourself, reposition yourself, or reinvent yourself? Any books which you can suggest to the audience also?
Yeah. I mean, it's all going to be, it was like huge Jeffrey Archer fan from fiction, but and Cain and Abel is like right up there, and enough books are there. But from a business point of view, Why We Buy is very important from a consumer psychology point of view. It's an excellent book, something I love. But Richard Branson and his books are very fresh, and every book, even if it is there from Finding Your Virginity, Losing Your Virginity, or whatever the books are, it's always fresh, and it's nice to read from somebody who's dyslexic and has done well, and is somebody who's inspiring for me. And he started multiple businesses, and it looks like he's having a lot of fun while he's doing it. So,
yes, sir. About you, which are
so
the
many
books?
Because you see, these days, as Rahul also was telling, I may not be doing much of fiction, but I love reading fiction, both in Malayalam as well as in English. One book that has actually left a profound impression upon me is To Kill a Mockingbird. It is Atticus. It's an American story. It's called To Kill a Mockingbird. Okay, Mockingbird. Okay, I must have read it 3-4 times. Practically every 3 years I just lift it up and read it again. Okay, this is about injustice. This is about racism. This is about the way of Americans. The whites trying to impress upon the blacks, and sort of freedom being curtailed. I think I hate racism. One of the reasons that I did not go to settle in US is that I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be among my people, with my father, with my daddy, to do a business, show them that I can do. So there was opportunity to go. I did not do that. That's so. This racism and this suppression and oppression of people, you will really love reading that book called To Kill a Mockingbird. The second book is a methodology book. It is actually called Blue Ocean Strategy. Okay, Blue Ocean Strategy is by the professors Mamman and Chan, Okay, it completely rewrites the way by which you can actually get into, even in a competitive product that you have, how do you make it sail through a non-competitive market? Blue oceans are called non-competitive, red oceans are called competitive. So beautifully they explain it, and they continue to do that. I am also connected to them in many ways, talking back and forth on many of those incidences actually. So from a methodology perspective, managerial perspective, it is Blue Ocean Strategy by Marbon and Chan. But from a social perspective and a fiction perspective, To Kill a Mockingbird.
So with this type of rich reading, one common question to both of you, I'll take with you first. Did you undergo a conflict in your mind through reading? I mean, conflict in terms of the professional in you and the human being in you. If so, in what way?
We grow with our own value systems, We pick up the value system from at the younger age from the elders and by seeing things. And as you grow up, you also pick up, that is called the epigenetics, You just pick it up from outside. So you add it up to you. Okay, so your values are that you're born with and you're added to it. Okay, so this is something that you actually keep going with. Okay, now your question is specifically. Yeah, I will tell you. I will tell you. See, I am reading this book. It is printed in fine books. It is in Malayalam. It is by P.K. Balakrishnan, and the book is called Jati Vyavasthayum Kerala Charitharam. Kerala Charitharam Jati Vyavasthayum. This book is printed by Current Books, and these editions are not available. But fantastic book if somebody want to know about this book. Okay. So now I have born with a value system that I am a Nair. I am a Savarna. So these value systems are there. You understand? And when you read this book, I had seen P.K. Balakrishnan really killing the entire Savarnas in the book. The whole Nairs and Nambudiri, he decimated that book. Okay. So I had this conflict. Why do I read this? I am reading a book about being considered as a Nair and a Savarna. This guy is decimating me right in front of my eyes. There was conflict. But I'll tell you, this is a book that I have read 20 times. I'm still trying to decipher it, in the sense that this is written in Kunuguna, small lipi. There's a lot of information. The Malayalam is very, very tough. You will not be able to understand the meaning of 50% of the words in that book. Okay, Balakrishnan, he was a editor in Kaumudi and Madhyamam here. Okay, so I must have read, and I'm still reading it because I just wanted to basically take a synopsis about how the Nayars and Nambudiri generation started. Okay, so this conflict do start. Okay, now you asked about a business. In business, very often you think that you are a cat, you are an entrepreneur, and you have arrived, and you have certain methodologies with you, and you go and get killed by, you go and get tulped by an illiterate, unpad guy, and you don't know what happened to him. You think that, okay, all this is going for you, and that lot to learn. You would not learn because you think that, okay, I'm the person who arrived. So this conflict always used to happen, but you manage it, That is called LLL, lifelong learning. You take it that way.
Oh, what's your take on that, Rahul?
Yeah, so for me, I'm sure there are many. One thing is books give you an exposure to different cultures when we talk about it. But I would specifically talk about, because I'm spending a lot of time understanding advertisements, I've been reading a lot of books on ads and marketing from the 1960s to 1930s, because a lot of the famous guys are there. And a lot of them are conflicting with, a lot of ideas there are conflicting with what is today. I'm sure it will happen 30 years from now as well. For example, in that they're promoting cigarettes, saying it is, doctors are promoting cigarettes, for example. Right, things like that, or also peace rate methodology, or women are not necessarily considered. There are a lot of things that are different, and that's something that's different. And also, when I read certain books, say with respect to the US, I believe some of them may not be able to. You may not be able to use exactly what they do here, and it's also important to kind of distill what you need rather than just take everything verbatim, because it not necessarily work. And these older books, which are considered classics, when I read them, I realize, a lot of the world has changed a lot, but there's still a lot to take from it. So that's what it is.
So can you name a few great personalities whom you admire much through reading, whom you still have daily in your mind?
Yeah, I mean,
you're writing writers, or personalities?
Personalities.
Any
personalities. It can be a quick thing.
Jeeves for sure. Jeeves is definitely somebody that's like, it's just.
How about you? How about Rahul?
See, I have actually started my life learning all these Malayalam books. Okay, one author whom I really consider as God and whom I still have not been able to completely decipher is a person from this end called M.T. Vasudevan Nair. Okay. And the sort of reading that you do and the mood that you go into in most of the books, it is undescribable. At the same time, you will feel a lot of melancholy, you will see a lot of sadness, you will go into depression. But the way by which an author can inculcate that feeling in you, I have never seen in any of those, even Thakari, I have read all of them. These are all different narratives. But MT has a fantastic way of narrative which actually put
Excellent.
you to yes.
So looking back, do you feel that you could have done much more better if you had read it more better? Do you feel that you could have done a little more better through reading? Is there any?
No, see, as far as I am concerned, as Rahul had said, I am a voracious reader. Okay, I have read. In fact, at the age of 13, a library nearby gave me an award because there was about 2,000 books in the library. I have read all the books actually, and they wanted me to read out. They said, "Okay, you're bluffing." I said, "I'm not bluffing." They said, "Okay, what is the story of this? What is the story of this? What is the story of?" I said, "So I'm a voracious reader." So reading always had been a passion, but lately you don't get that much of a time, and also age is catching up. Your priorities are different, but still I spend 2 to 3 hours every day for reading.
Yeah, I mean, age is probably catching up for everyone. And for me, I don't regret. I think I have read enough and I'm still reading. But now I read differently. Like my wife says, I read nerdy stuff now, not necessarily what she reads. She reads a lot of fun stuff. So, and I also, because of the business I am in, I read about all the newspapers in town. So I read, because of English, I read all of them. Malayalam I read, but I can't enjoy it as much as how should be enjoying it?
Malayalam is what actually titillates you. Actually, English.
No, unfortunately, I can't. I mean, it's just like I can read very well, but I can't read literature.
So is the best again going to come through SR and Rahul again through reading? Are we yet to see different entrepreneurs through reading again in SR and Rahul?
I think, like he said, I mean, continuous learning is the whole way, and whatever your age, you have to keep reading. And I don't know about the best, but there's no way to stop reading. I mean, all of us, I'm sure everyone here is interested in reading. So reading is not going to stop, because I think then there's no, but how you read and when you read and what you read could probably keep changing.
How about you?
See, reading never stops. Now, in my case, I am now trying to basically vomit whatever I read into some books actually. You read and then you try to basically put into some version. So 1 or 2 books I have already written and published. So this year my wish is to see that I get about 2 to 3 books released on that. And as far as creating, what was the question that you said?
Is the best yet to come from both of you?
No, the best is yet to come in the sense that, look at Rahul, he's the future. Look at me, I am not the future. Okay, I may be current and the past. Okay, now look at Balasan sitting there. He was one of the most acclaimed and one of the most revered businessmen who had actually taken business through such a torrid time. So now he also had moved away. Okay, he is doing a lot of social service. He's doing a lot of reading, writing, and Aramse he's coming here and camouflaging himself and sitting in here, without anybody knowing. Federal Bank chairman sitting right in front of us. Actually,
don't recognize him. There's a Federal Bank chairman sitting there in
right
you
in front
with the audience. At least you can raise your hands. That would be better. That's the chairman of Federal Bank, a high-profile entrepreneur.
Yes, but so it keeps going. But my regards, affection, and respect for people like Bala is everlasting. That's what
All of us, for all of us. So finally, let this be the last question. How do you look ahead, and what is a key message to this audience about entrepreneurship and reading?
Okay, see, you guys are reading in a different manner. We were reading text from the books, physical books. We enjoyed the smell of the books so much. The smell of the books actually. Now, Rahul was saying that his wife reads Kindle. So that smell of the book doesn't come, but that's the way she does. Now, our kids, they go through their pads and they go through their mobiles and they read. They're not surfing. Please understand. So I will not blame them. The way in which they read is a different way of reading, that's all. Okay. Reading will continue, but the problem is, now, everything is we are getting into a post-truth world where all that is coming to you, one doesn't know what is the level of truth in that. And that is the problem. You understand? So, if that is the case, they have to go back to those epics and eternal books to understand what truth is, and then comes to post-truth area. Thank you.
So you're circling that question back to you, Rahul. How do it? So
Yeah. So before that, I had gone to Balasar's house once, and most time I spent there was looking at his book collection. So he can vouch for that.
So how do you look ahead, and what is the key message to the audience
I
regarding
think-
entrepreneurship and
So
reading?
I met a 14-year-old kid who's my friend's son, and I asked him, "Do you read?" He said, "No." Then I thought, "What do you do?" Like he listens to audibles, like he listens to audiobooks. So things are changing. Consumption is probably changing a lot, and we are different people have different ways of consuming things. But I think stay hungry, stay foolish is like a common thing that everyone keeps saying. Read what you like, have fun while you read it, but sometimes read for the sake of it also. If you're learning something, that's also important. And future is about not just reading but also taking risk on the ground. So it has to be a combination. You can't just keep reading all the time and become a really, really good expert and not do something. So do as you read if it is relevant for you. I mean, not everything is, but yeah.
So when you talk about audio, this is the last question. When you talk, we all hear about a person called Sreekant Bola, who is a blind CEO of a 50 crore company, who was running job opportunities for disabled persons. That's not reading. Can you quickly say how that successful journey would have been, both of you, for in 1 or 2 sentences?
See, reading is a means to understand what is written in there. Okay. And if you are a wonderful writer, he has the ability to take you through the emotions. Okay. But rather than that, I would rather say, like, I'm just trying to take that thing from Rahul saying that it is like soaking in it, It is like soaking in it. You may see, you may observe, you may experience, you may read, you may serve. All that leads you to absorbing that thing. That is called soaking in it. So reading is urubadi. So from time to time, in times to come, things should change, keep changing. Methods will keep changing.
Yeah.
Okay.
True,
That is
true.
what I would like to say.
We have a paucity of time. The organizers are walking behind me, looking at me. So it is a pleasure to keep this session going. But due to paucity of time, I have to relent. Grateful to both of you for these extreme speakers
Thank
and the
you,
entire
Ananda.
audience in particular, especially the high-profile Bala sir, my brothers, and all others. Many members from CMA, Rotary, and TIE who are all accepted my invitation, come out over here. I hope this session has resonated well with you all, and you audience had an amazing time with a lot of accomplishments. Sincere thanks to each one of you and the panelists on behalf. Thank you.
People like us want to be happy. Anandamani is always happy. Anand. Thank you very much, Anand.